Okay. Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Daryl.
Oh, you're welcome. There are a few new people here, I think, so just very briefly, to get everyone up to speed, if there's any questions about how this channeling began, I'll be happy to answer those after the session, in the interest of getting right into it and allowing people enough time to interact. We'll just kind of go ahead. But new people, you'll catch on pretty quickly how this interaction occurs. It's very informal. You'll see that when Bashar comes through, he'll probably talk about something for a second, and then he'll turn it over to you for questions and answers. If you have something that you would like to ask, all you have to do is say out loud, Bashar, and he will point at you in whatever order he thinks is necessary to call on you. And then just ask your question straight out, whatever it may be on any subject. Doesn't matter what subject it is. There's no restrictions or limitations in that sense. If it's important to you, by all means ask it. The only thing we ask is that if he does pick on you, we do have a remote mic, so just wait until the mic gets to you. It'll be handed across so that we can make sure we get your question clearly on the tape so that everyone can hear it. And that's just about all there is to it, except have fun. Thank you again for coming. And I'll see you all later. Have a good time.
To each and every one of you this day, we extend once again our deep appreciation and unconditional love. Remember the 13th floor. Go looking. Go exploring. You'll find it. You'll find it. You'll find it. And won't you be surprised to find who's waiting there for you? On the 13th floor. Go see. Push the button. Go see. Make a big button for number 13 and push it. Our unconditional love to all of you, and to all of you, a good day and a good moon. We shall speak again.
Good day, Bashar.
And a good day.
We had discussed the MRI.
Yes.
There's a tremendous opening experience for me.
All right, thank you.
Right prior to that, I had moved into a new home,
Yes.
a new office.
Yes.
Sort of really meditating and consecrating this move to an expanded state.
Yes.
I moved through that eye of the needle as I had with the MRI.
Yes.
And I find it very interesting that everything is now falling apart.
Yes.
And it feels perfect.
Yes.
It feels appropriate.
Yes.
It's as though you move into this higher frequency, this finer vibration, and everything doesn't come with you.
No, everything does not. That is what it means to move through the eye of the needle.
Exactly.
Only the true essence of yourself goes with you, and that, in those transitional moments, is really all you need. It doesn't mean that something else won't reform on the other side, but since change is the only constant, the point is to understand that the essence, the template, is always with you. Allow the template to be clothed physically by whatever is more representative of what it needs to be clothed in on the other side of having gone through that passage. Don't insist that it has to look the same or that the same structure must come with you. It can't. It can't pass through the eye of the needle. There is no space in this eye of this needle. The idea is that when you go on the other side, Then, in having brought the template and the essence with you, then physical reality will once again take its cue from that essential template and will clothe it with the appropriate structures to represent the new level you have gone to.
But that's essentially it. The essential template is all that comes.
Yes. Everything else, if you wish, is a sock puppet. A sock puppet. You know, on your planet, how you stick your hands in your socks and make puppets? The hand always goes with you. Even though you may lose the sock, there will always be another sock you can stick your hand in on the other side. Physical reality is sock puppets. You are the one that always has the hand.
Okay.
Always forms the skeletal structure of the next sock puppet and gives it life. You follow?
I do, thank you.
It might actually help many of you to start looking at physical reality as a bunch of sock puppets.
It's very clarifying, actually.
Yes, I know. It is more literal than you think.
The other thing I wanted to explore with you, because I really want to use this window here for
Yes.
this month
All
appropriately.
right. Yes.
3 things happened around my son recently, and they were all subsequent to a conversation I had with him where I told him, we had one of those soul conversations.
Yes.
I said that if this is what your choice is this lifetime, I will be by your side forever, and I will give you whatever help I can.
All right.
But that I was his mother, and
Yes.
that I needed to work to heal him, and that I would never stop.
Well, being by his side and accepting him in whatever way, shape, or form he chooses to present himself is being his mother and helping him.
Right.
Yes.
But that I need to try to heal him on this level also.
Well,
And I
yes, but you
needed-
don't need to try. You can explore.
Okay. I can explore, which I've been.
Yes.
And when I talked to him about that, and I said, I was crying at the time, and I said, and it would be really nice if you could help me out and just heal.
Yes, and
And
what
he
did you
put
get?
He put his arm around me, and he said, okay.
Yes.
He said, okay.
Yes, okay.
And he's been talking.
Yes.
He's been talking. He's
Y-
been
yes.
saying these words, you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
It's like this miracle.
Well, miracles are the natural order of things when you relax.
It's been really quite wondrous. And there were 3 real special things, because this has been a real profound time for healing, my healing and his,
Yes.
which is inextricably linked, I know that.
Yes.
I went to this woman whom I have a great deal of respect for, and she saw a past life of his that was relevant.
All
And
right.
the reason I took note of it was that I had seen the same thing.
All right, very good.
And it
And?
was that he had been in a war,
Yes.
and that there was this shattering of his soul over it, and that he had
In a sense.
chosen Chris and I to work through that anger and that violence,
Yes.
and that the violence and anger between us
Yes.
was an important component that needed
Yes.
to be healed.
Yes.
So that's been something I've been working with.
Okay.
The next thing that happened was during a meditation, a Lakota, I wouldn't say Lakota, he was just a Native American shaman came to me and taught me many things and has been coming ever since. And
All right.
a few days later, I picked up this old magazine I'd kept for 10 years or whatever for some unknown reason, and it had an article about a Lakota healing man, and it looked just like this man,
All right.
only younger.
All right.
And I thought I was just so drawn to do a healing ceremony with him wherever he was. And I find it perplexing that I can't seem to get a hold of him.
Say, washte.
Washte.
Yes. Very good. You want to say it again?
Yeah.
All right, say it again.
Washte.
Washte.
Okay, that's it.
Oh, yes. Exactly.
Now I will find the man in the healing ceremony, or now I don't need it?
Both. Because washte means
I am healed.
well, it means it is good. It is okay.
Oh, okay.
You follow?
Washte.
Washte.
I do. And the last thing that happened was just a very, I had prayed and meditated for a great deal of time before I went to bed this night. And I wanted guidance on what I needed to do to help him along this process, which I believe he's turned a corner in choosing now to heal.
Yes.
And the image was so strong. I didn't get any specific information, but the dream imagery was so strong. We were going down, not up, but down a mountain of crystal.
Yes.
And there were these huge shards, and they were slippery, and they were beautiful.
Yes.
And he kept falling and cutting himself and falling, and there were precipices everywhere, and I kept catching him.
All right.
And it was an arduous process.
All right, a good metaphor for what you feel you've been going through.
Yes, very much so.
All right.
And there was a female presence which just sort of held the energy in a sense and watched.
Yes, very good.
And
It is both your higher self and your guides simultaneously.
I thought...
You have help, both from yourself and from others. You are not alone.
I feel it so strongly.
Yes.
And at one point he had a crystal shard in his throat.
Yes.
And he couldn't speak.
Yes.
I knew I needed a tremendous amount of strength to pull that out. A lack of fear.
Yes.
And just strength, that sort of Zen-like clarity of
exactly
the sword,
so.
you know?
Exactly so.
Just need to do it.
Yes. Very good.
And I did.
You are doing well.
And at the end, we were all right. We were all right. Washte.
Lakota. Yes. All right.
Yes, that's it.
Washte.
Thank you.
Greetings.
And to you, good day, or aloha if you wish.
Aloha. When you were saying what would ruin the earth, whatever words you used, I was thinking fear, and I guess that's the same thing as cynicism, right?
Well, it comes from it. It's connected to the idea, yes. Cynicism is derived from fear, yes. And in that sense, that is the basic fundamental cause. But as the expression of the fear, that is, in your terms, one of the most detrimental.
Yeah, that was my guess I wanted to share.
Thank you.
I struck gold this week.
Oh, all right. In what sense?
I've talked to you about my older brother a couple of times, and he, brothers or, your relatives could always push your buttons the best.
Well, that's in some cases what they are designed to do.
And I am so grateful because I found two beliefs.
All right, congratulations.
That I want to share.
You are an excellent miner.
An excellent what?
Miner, prospector.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Finding those nuggets, those belief systems within you.
It's a trip because I know better, but they were still there. And I was still using them, even though intellectually.
Yes.
Like the first one was that I couldn't do what I wanted to do.
All right,
I mean,
thank
it
you.
seems pretty simple, but it's
it can be profound.
Yeah, I know. As soon as you think you can't do something, you just
That's it.
did it.
Can't do it. Yep.
So that was beautiful. And the second one was that somebody else could have a negative effect on my reality, which I know better.
Yes.
I have been listening here.
Someone else can have a negative effect on your reality when you believe that they can. Yes.
But I know better because I'm a positive person, and
Yes.
and a good friend of mine said even if their intention is negative, I would only get it in a positive way.
You can make that
something
decision for
positive out of
yourself
it.
and thus derive only that effect when you decide to. Yes.
Well, those were two big, beautiful
Congratulations.
beliefs that I was happy to learn
Congratulations.
about. I had an idea about, since you said that a lot of us are interacting with our future selves as grays
Yes.
on ships
Or
and things.
more precisely, your alternate self.
Okay. Well, sometimes people think of going to a doctor or doing things like that, but I thought of the idea of interacting with my gray counterpart and telling her what I need or what I'd like to explore.
Yes. Sometimes this will fit the agenda and sometimes it will not.
I could see that. But I thought I'd share that.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
When you told us the story about the Great Spirit wanting to hide something from the humans,
It is what you call one of your ancient American Indian stories, yes?
well, I was wondering why the Great Spirit wanted to hide it.
No, the idea is told euphemistically, in that You decided to hide it from yourselves. The aspect of the Great Spirit that you are decided that you would hide it from yourselves so that the discovery, the rediscovery of it through the process of living in physical reality would make the awareness and its existence of it much more sweet. You understand that?
Yeah.
In other words, in the same analogy that you have used in digging for gold, the digging and then the discovery of the nugget brings about rejoicing. So you hide the gold so that you can dig for it, so that there will be rejoicing in the discovering. You wanted that experience and so hid it from yourselves. But the euphemism Great Spirit is used because it is the oneness of all of you that decided to do that.
So we could have all this fun.
Exactly.
Okay, 2 more things.
Nice.
A few weeks ago, my ring finger on my right hand sort of felt like I sprained it or something. I hadn't done anything, and
Nice.
times before that's happened.
Nice.
And I thought of a possible interaction.
Nope.
Oh, thank you. That was quick.
Next.
And the last thing was, one time we were here, and I had been practicing saying,
Thank you, yes.
and I was going to say, I said, one more thing, and you said, nope. And I kind of like felt cut off, and now I've been through both sides of that when you're saying nope because there's more things, more people or time thing on it. And I really enjoyed your interaction with Georgia when she says, I'm going to finish anyway.
Yes.
So I wanted to get my hands around your neck to thank you for teaching, because I got a big lesson off of that.
All right, you are welcome.
Yeah, you get a hug, and after I get my hands off your neck.
All right. Thank you.
I love you.
Our love to you as well. Number 2.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good day. My question is regarding teeth.
Teeth.
Teeth in these bodies. This just came up for me.
Teeth. Yes.
This just came up for me today.
Yes.
And so I don't have any knowledge on the subject, so I'm going to ask for some guidance here.
Oh, all right. Are you certain you don't want to ask a dentist?
That's why I'm asking, because it came from a dentist.
All right, and that would be what?
Root canal.
Yes, what about it?
And where he feels that I need to have a root canal on one tooth.
Yes.
And in that experience today of finding out what is done and then sharing with just a couple friends of mine when I came home, because
Yes.
that has never been in my life experience.
Well, so
Saying-
what?
Well, saying that it really messes up your frequency.
Maybe, maybe not.
Okay, so that's where I was asking for guidance. to
Maybe,
know.
maybe not.
Maybe.
You must make the determination based on the beliefs that are strongest within you as to what you determine is best for you at this particular moment based on the circumstances. If you feel you can rebalance and heal yourself in another way, by all means allow yourself to do so. But follow the path of least resistance within the strongest beliefs within you. If having the root canal is the path of least resistance, I would strongly suggest you simply follow it. It will not have to mess you up. But there are ways to rebalance your health. The idea is going to depend upon the degree to which your belief system believes this has gone, the degree to which it has gone. You may have a belief system that says it has gone so far, I cannot reverse it. You may have a belief system that says, no, it doesn't matter how far it's gone, I can reverse it.
Now, when you say reverse it, meaning not having to have it or
Yes,
have it and knowing?
not needing it.
Not need. Okay.
There are people on your planet that could actually become another person sufficiently enough that the new person they become no longer has the root canal problem. It simply, in your terms, disappears. Not because it actually leaves that person, it's because they become a different enough person, a person who never had it to begin with. You understand? That is possible. But do your belief systems allow you to believe that such a change can happen to that degree? That is the question.
I certainly would like to step up to the plate to,
All
to
right.
do
Well,
that.
but again, the honesty comes in where you understand that it doesn't matter what you would like to believe. The question is, what do you believe? And if you believe that the actual path of least resistance is to have the tooth taken out, life and who you are at any given moment with regard to this experience and why you have created it in your reality.
That was another question, yes, that I need to figure out.
All
why
right,
I
well,
did.
what is it putting you in touch with? Perhaps nothing more than the examination of your beliefs and what you believe is possible. That might be one reason why you have created it, or it might be symbolically representative of something more specific. You know, as in your language, such as, and I'm not saying this is the case, but euphemistically, you know, biting off more than you can chew. Those kinds of ideas sometimes will reflect themselves in your teeth. You follow me? Or the idea that you have to have a root canal being symbolic of the idea that maybe you need to get to the root of something, to dig something out, to go deep within yourself to find out what the fundamental and foundational belief is that might be causing something in your life to fester. Sometimes if you get in touch with that, you'll find that the physical symbol, in a sense, will go away, because you have gotten in touch with the meaning and the reason behind the manifestation. Sometimes. It's up to you to decide how to use this. But these are all suggestions that may help you.
Most definitely. That's all.
Sometimes, in general, as a general idea of health, blue light frequencies shown on the teeth can be very beneficial. Gargling and rinsing your mouth with clean seawater can be very beneficial for your teeth.
Okay.
But mostly you will find that when these things occur, anything that occurs as an unbalance or a dis-ease within you, they will be generally symbolic of something you need to look at, and they will usually not be too far off the mark in terms of literal interpretation, such as we have said, getting to the root of something.
Okay.
You follow?
Yes, I do.
So you may need more of a spiritual root canal,
Yes.
but you may have been allowing that to fester for so long that you may now have created a physical need for a root canal that may or may not be capable of being reversed. But the idea is to figure out how to use it regardless of what the physical outcome might ultimately need to be.
I think you hit it there, the spiritual.
Did I hit the nerve?
You did.
Oh, all
You actually hit the real nerve, I think.
All right. Does that help you then?
Yes, very much. Thank you.
Bashar,
You and then you. Number two, do you know who you are? All right. Number one, good day. Number one, good day.
Hi, Bashar. This orange cat, a year ago, that came to my house,
Yes.
that had the bloody ear,
Yes.
I nicknamed Van Gogh.
Yes.
Well, he showed up again.
Oh, all right.
And he's
Van, come back. Remember that we learned puns from yours.
Well, he's all healed now, and he's
right.
very well fed.
Yes.
But he has, I guess he's decided to move in, which was funny because you said something about that.
Yes.
And I thought, no, there's no way. But now,
But?
yeah, well, I don't know. He's spending time sleeping in the house
All
sometimes.
right.
And I seem not to be throwing him out, so.
You seem not to be, yes. One way to put it, yes. You enjoy the company, yes.
Yeah.
You enjoy the energy, yes.
I do. He's
All right.
different than.
Yes. Well, also, connecting your conversation to the last conversation,
Yeah.
remember that it is no accident that on your planet, the area that is attributed to the beginnings of flight is called Kitty Hawk. There is synchronicity in the order of these conversations
Yeah.
and the idea of flying high and getting in touch with yourselves and seeing the big picture.
Well, I feel like I'm getting in touch with myself, but I don't really feel like I really know what's going on. In fact, I wanted to ask you about that, this idea about
What?
powerlessness and power.
Powerlessness. Now remember, of course, there is really no such thing
Right,
as
and
powerlessness.
got
But you
that.
can use your power to pretend that you are powerless.
Right. So, and you know what? For me, it had more to do with understanding how to communicate with that aspect of myself, which is really like my total self is what it feels like because it's so enormous.
Yes, all
And
right.
it's definitely been impressed upon me that that is
All right.
within me.
All right.
And I guess understanding how to relate to it,
How to relate to what?
to my greater self.
How
When
to
I
relate
say
to your
that-
greater self.
Yeah, because when I say that, it's like, isn't that power, since we're beings that perceive reality through our egos?
If you break yourself down too much, you will always have difficulty in finding the correct perspective from which to look and understand yourself. If you start to function more holistically as if you are the greater self, even though you may be experiencing yourself as not, then you will have a better perspective.
Oh, I don't know if I got that, because
You are the greater self. You are the whole self. Though you may be experiencing yourself as the lesser self, you are the greater self doing that. If you come from the idea that you actually are the lesser self and you are trying to relate to the greater self, you will only reinforce that you are not the greater self, even though you are.
I understand what you're saying about that, but at the same time, I recognize that I've had experiences where
Yes, which is
I
only
have-
another way of saying that you like coming from that point of view and staying in that perspective.
So is that, you're saying that's the point of view that would make one experience power negatively?
Yes.
Is seeing yourself
That is the
as-
point of view that allows you to experience the concept of coming from a powerless place.
All right, and so then when you experience, but you can experience yourself as very powerful and without experiencing like your total self.
I understand that.
And that's,
But the point is that at any given moment, you actually are experiencing the total self, no matter how you arrange the experience.
well, I understand that, and that's why.
No, you don't.
Well, what I don't understand is sort of how to manage it.
Manage it.
I know, well, every time. But it's real.
Well,
that
maybe for you,
it's real that
you
I
should
can-
get an accounting book and manage your power according to the way that you are familiar in working with numbers. Use that as an exercise and see if you balance in the bottom line.
I think I'm still afraid of it
Why? You're using it.
because because
What you are saying is that you are afraid to acknowledge that you're using it. You're not afraid of using it, you're using it. What you're saying is that you're afraid to admit you're using it.
well, I feel like I can have experiences where I
You
am
are
overwhelmed.
afraid to admit you're using it. You are using it. None of you can help using your full power. It's impossible to truly be a fraction. You are one. It's impossible to be a fraction. But you can pretend you're a fraction, but you're using your entire power to
understood
pretend that you're
I
a
understood
fraction.
that. I felt that
So
really
it's not
neutral.
about the idea. I am attempting to allow you to understand that there is an important differentiation here.
Okay.
You are not afraid to use your power. You are
Okay.
afraid to admit you're using all your power. There's a very important difference there.
Well, why would I be afraid of that?
You tell me. Since you know you're already using it, why would you be afraid to admit it? Maybe what you are confused by is the idea that you were assuming that you weren't using it,
Right.
and that you were afraid to use all of it. But I am now telling you, you've always used it all. So if you're still afraid, it can't be about using it. It can only be that you've transferred your fear of using your power to a fear of admitting that you're using it.
I see the way I'm experiencing it is being afraid of experiencing it.
But you are experiencing all of it in order to create the experience of being afraid of experiencing
I
it.
understand that.
No, you don't. Or you would stop right now. You wouldn't be afraid. You would feel it.
So the recognition.
I'm not arguing with you, I'm just discussing mechanics. If you understood it, you would be it. I'm not talking about intellectualization. I'm talking about
All right.
the same kind of experience you're talking about. If you allowed yourself to experience that you are using all your power to make it seem as if you're not, then you would experience all your power in doing that. But it wouldn't take away. It wouldn't take away from the experience of not feeling all your power. That's what's confusing you. You think that feeling all your power means you can't feel the idea of using only a part of it. But that's not true. You can experience simultaneously that you are using all your power to pretend that you're not.
I understand that.
Are you sure?
Well, maybe I can understand it at a deeper level so that I wouldn't be afraid of it.
What are you afraid of?
What am I afraid of?
Yeah, what are you afraid of? That was the question. In
Because
experiencing the
filtering-
idea of
filtering
your whole
my-
power,
Filtering my power through negative definitions of myself.
why are you afraid to do that?
Because it's painful.
So what? Why is that a reason to be afraid?
Well, what's the point of?
Well, that's my question. What's the point? You
Well,
see, you
I
don't
mean,
have
that's
to be
very
afraid.
common. That's yeah, because when you're experiencing that, you may not be able to change the way you're perceiving your power.
If you believe so, then that's true.
Well,
But then
that's-
why
I
would
think that's
be-
what I'm learning.
Well, yes.
Not to do that.
Well, all right, but that's your choice. It's always your choice, and you know that. So what's the point? What's the point of
Well,
doing that?
Trying to understand better how to do that so that I'm not afraid of experiencing it through negative definitions.
All right, but again, that's your choice.
Well, what other choice is there?
To not do that.
Well, right.
To feel it all, and not be afraid to feel it all.
Now, when you say it all, you mean like both the negative and the positive polarity?
Everything, everything, everything. Remember, as you expand, you become more aware of the negative and the positive because you
Okay.
become more aware of all of it.
Exactly. And
But you
that,
don't have to be afraid of it
but-
because you know you're making choices.
Okay.
You choose to experience what you prefer.
all right, but that's what I'm working out, is experiencing both
The point.
simultaneously.
The point
Yes.
in the paradox, in the power of paradox, fully, when you allow it to be all right to experience the pain, you don't feel it that way anymore.
So resisting it or fearing
Resistance causes pain, yes.
and fearing it causes.
Yes, that's resistance.
God, I mean, it's harder to do than.
If you say so. That's a belief. But when it's all right to experience pain, when you accept that as a valid experience, paradoxically, you don't have to experience it in the way that you do when you resist it. You can experience it in another way. That will not be translated as to what you recognize in your experience as the thing you call pain. But you will experience it, but not the same way.
Well, I kept thinking there's this balanced place where you can channel
The
that
balanced
energy.
place is the total acceptance of all of it.
And then the taking conscious command.
It is the total acceptance of all of it. That's all that needs to be done. In that comes the conscious commandment. The total acceptance of all of you is where it comes from. That's all you need to do. The total acceptance of all of yourself.
So you look at it all, you experience.
The total acceptance of all of yourself.
Wow, well, okay.
There is no other way to say it in your language. The total acceptance of all of yourself.
You know, that almost sounds abstract.
To you, yes. But it isn't. It is the experience. The
That's
experience.
the aligned experience. That's
The experience.
the experience.
Yes. That's it. Thank you.
Can I-
Next.
Can I ask another question?
Next. I want that to sink within you for a while.
A lot of thinking.
Yes. Let it sink. And a good day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
All right. And to you as well.
Well, thank you. Actually, just as an aside, tomorrow is the anniversary of my chosen death date in the 19th century.
Oh, all right.
And
How
I don't-
romantic.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't know if you might have a message from my general. If not, that's okay. I want to jump to something else
All right.
very
jump.
quickly.
Yes.
The last time I was able to come up and be part of the group, one of the ladies mentioned having seen the movie The Titanic and
Yes.
how powerful it was.
All
And
right.
I went to see it, and
Yes.
I started to cry immediately because I wished that my father could see it. He was one of the top set designers in motion pictures and television.
All right.
It was my closing thought on the movie also as I walked out with tears. And into my third eye came my dad.
Yes.
I'm getting very comfortable with this third eye thing.
Yes. Well, you know your father has seen it then, yes?
Yes.
All right.
And I was told that he would come back later to assist me in creating rather than dictating what I should do. So that was really nice.
Yes.
And I'd like to ask you, is the Titanic a metaphor for the 90s?
It is a metaphor for transition from one age to another, yes. It is the sinking of all the things that no longer float.
Does it have any connection to what they're calling the Thailand meltdown, the economic
It is connected to all
imbalance?
systems that will fall away on your planet. It is connected to the passing of an age, and of course is no accident, nor in the sense accidental coincidence, that the recreation of this event, the event that was a large archetypal symbol of the passing of one age into another, from what you call the 19th to the 20th century, should now in a sense be quote-unquote dredged up to serve as a symbol for the passage of the 20th to the 21st century, in the same idea that old things must be let go of before new things can come in. Yes, it is acting as a symbol again for a similar idea of passage, yes.
And then what about the Hindenburg?
Many things, not just arrogance, but many things. Yes?
What about the Hindenburg? Is there a connection to that disaster?
Yes. It is the idea, again, perhaps more of the idea of arrogance and lofty aspirations that are not well thought out. The idea that things must be grounded if they are to truly fly.
Or there must be a greater sense of responsibility.
That,
perhaps.
as always, is true.
Okay.
Responsibility is the key. And this is what each and every one of you are learning in taking back your own power. Yes.
Okay. Sometime around the 4th or the 5th of December, I can't remember what date was Friday, we had a big storm. Big,
All right.
big, big.
Big storm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And things were happening around my horse. And
Yes.
I spent Saturday morning intuitively with him
All right.
in the storm.
Yes.
And I could see a collection of energy on that property that I didn't require.
All right.
Okay, certain disasters and catastrophes, and with another horse there also.
Yes. But
Any-
also remember that some of these phenomenologies are also cleansing phenomenologies.
Oh, absolutely.
And not always necessarily should they be labeled as disastrous.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And so with that thought in mind, and having listened to your talk about gravity, the property next door is also horse property and empty, and I went and knocked on the man's door and said, we have an extra horse this week, and can you help? And he said, sure.
Yes.
And there seemed to have been a feud with the lady that owned the property where my horse was. So anyway, I just filed it away. But within a few weeks, I called him up and I said, Paul, I need to get my horse out. He has dermatitis. I can't do this therapy for him. Can I bring my horse there? And he said, sure. And I said, the only thing is, I won't be able to take him back, and you know that. And he said, I don't care, bring him over.
All right.
So it was a metaphor for an energy shift.
Yes. to a different plane.
Yeah, at that time of the big storm, teacher called and canceled the channeling class, and I had probably the most amazing dream I've ever had that night,
All right.
outside of my white bear dream, which I
All
won't
right.
talk about. And I feel at this point that I am in the class.
Yes.
Okay. For the things that have happened on this property. Paul is waiting for Sandy to come home, and I said, great, because I need to do a new balancing with my animus
All right.
and look at my block about having a relationship
All
and,
right.
and definitions around that.
Yes.
And I've done that. And
All right. Not finished, but you are working on it.
right, okay, I feel a lot better. I'm into
All right.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, and it's all
We
right.
understand the
It's all right,
appellation.
okay. Anyway, then last week, a hawk landed on the tree right across from the driveway.
Yes.
And when you are impacted with something, that is the power of the archetype. This is how I deal with the animal energy. Anyway,
It is the harbinger of the delivery of information and messages. Yes.
okay. Then right on the line nearby it were 2 mourning doves. And I said, okay, they mate for life. Paul and Sandy's coming home. They're going to get back together. That's good. But what does this bird mean for me? Then I got wrapped up in this tremendous possibility of moving up to Newport Beach, to the Back Bay. I'd interviewed for this job almost 2 years ago. I could have my horse on the property. It's really neat. And the lady that I work for was called for reference, and she just blew it. She just blew it. She started asking the hours, telling the man that was too much, and she went into her whole attorney modem thing of defending me,
Yes.
which
And so,
which
the
I
point of this
appreciate.
projection is what?
So I said, okay, there's a gift in this somewhere.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you finding it? by
Well,
staying within your power,
yeah, I am.
as does the hawk?
Yeah, but then what happened? Just let me jump back to the hawk for a minute.
All right. That's why I said
I
the hawk.
looked at, yeah, right. I came across a picture of this red-tailed hawk in the paper a week later, and
Yes.
it turned out it wasn't a red-tailed hawk. It was a teenage American golden eagle,
Yes.
which is my totem as for a writer.
All right.
Okay.
And so?
And it got whacked by a car just a quarter mile up on the San Joaquin Hills Road that we all love
All right.
and boycott. And he was taken to Scott Weldy, who does Raptor Rescue, and got his picture in the paper.
Yes.
So I called him up and I said, well, I heard gunshots on the property, where this bird had been, and maybe you should check them out, because the man
Wrap
keeps...
this up.
Okay, anyway, the bird's all right, and it's been released.
All
And
right.
what I would like to do is to write a letter to the man that I interviewed with,
Because?
because I still want the job.
Well, go ahead if you want. But are you allowing yourself to truly glean the symbolic representations and reflections for you?
Well, this is why I'm running it by you, because,
All right. Well, if you are dealing with raptors, then pay rapt attention.
okay,
And allow yourself to stay within the energy state that these animals represent, rather than getting caught up in too many details. The idea is that they fly high and see the big picture.
right,
They focus on what they need to focus on when they need to focus on it to make the dive and to make the catch. But that is simply one thing at a time. They do not get caught up in too many linking details, chains of details they do not need to see. They see the big picture. And that is the clue for you. Stay within that energy and don't get caught up in too many details. That is what will allow you to fall to earth and get whacked. All right?
can I ask you one more thing?
Briefly.
All right. I'm staying with my mom, and I just went through 4 weeks of bronchitis because of her cigarette smoke.
All right.
And I would like to be in a different space where I could have room to write. And
You can create that. If you stay in the energy of the big picture, you will move to where you need to move. That will represent, in a sense, better air for you. But stay in that energy. If you focus on too many of the little details and give them power as if they are doing something to you, you'll get caught in them. Don't get caught in them. Stay high. Fly high. See the big picture. and flow on the currents of the winds of synchronicity.
So just let that other thing go then.
Let it go.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You! And then you, number 2. Do you know who you are? All right.
Hi.
And are you good day?
Oh, it is. Thank you.
Oh, all right.
Well, I have some exciting things to talk with you about.
If you say so.
I feel excited about worms and spiders and bees and beetles.
All
and
right.
I remember one time we were talking, and I mentioned that I had felt when I had seen a cow in the field that it was my back that I was looking at. You mentioned that my sympathetic something or other was coming along okay.
Empathetic.
Empathetic, thank you. Well, I'm wondering about the thing about worms, because I noticed...
Worms!
Yeah,
Yes.
when it was raining a lot
Yes.
and they were dislodged,
Yes.
and I was walking my dog, I would pick them up and try to get them to drier ground.
Why?
It just... It seemed...
Do you think they do not like the wet?
Yeah, I thought they weren't doing well in the water. Some of them were dying.
I see.
And I tried to help them be back in the soil. Where I thought that's where they belong. Maybe
Back
I was
in the soil, perhaps, yes.
maybe I was interfering in their process too.
Maybe not. You are part of the overall event, but it is up to you to decide that.
Well,
What did you feel your relationship was in the sense of what they symbolized for you?
well, that's what I wanted to talk about with you because
all right.
I heard I think someone on the radio speaking of, I think it was Ed Dames, talking about information coming that a creature, a being, which was like a very large salamander, standing erect, was inhabiting some plane or some planet.
Let's
and
talk about something else.
Oh, well,
Let's talk about the worms.
okay. Go for it.
Go for it.
I like them too.
They both burrow in the ground,
Yeah, yeah,
creating little tunnels,
yes,
aerating the soil,
yes,
aerating the soil,
yes,
allowing it to be enriched
yes,
so that things can grow.
exactly.
This is the general symbol.
Yes.
And so, for you, the idea would be that in allowing new ideas in, they act like worms within your consciousness in the constructive sense of aerating the soil so that new ideas can grow.
Ah,
And in allowing them to show that to you symbolically, it shows you that you are becoming more in touch with the process by which you are allowing new ideas in.
great. I like that very much.
All right?
I was thinking that since we're all one,
Yes.
and
Which doesn't take away from the individuality either.
okay,
Remember this and that, not
yeah,
this or that.
that's pretty exciting.
Oh, all right, we agree. It is pretty exciting.
Well, what I'm trying to frame here is, I guess my question has to do with consciousness.
Yes, what about
my
it?
part of it, and
part of
the
it.
beings who are the beetles, the worms, and the birds, and all these creatures that I enjoy so much.
Yes.
Um,
You are them, they are you.
that's
They
what
are
I'm-
them, you are you. You are all one, they are themselves.
It's
you are
like I'm
yourself.
meeting myself out
It is not
there.
like, you
Okay.
are.
Okay. Well,
Different
I
aspects
guess
of yourself. Remember, again, physical reality is a mirror.
I know what you've said many times.
Yes. Everything that you see is a reflection of some aspect of the overall consciousness. Yes.
Well, that being the case,
Yes.
then when I think of the salamanders, and
Yes.
I've found them in the yard in the past, and they're
Yes.
quite lovely little things. They're very small, the ones that I've seen.
All right.
And this other person was speaking of larger ones, and my
Yes.
question is, are the ones in the yard that I'd found, are they remnant of beings who had been here? What is the relationship? That's what I want to know.
Between the salamanders in your yard and the ones that individual was
yes,
talking about?
exactly so.
The relationship is that on another level, in another dimensional plane of expression, the salamanders that stand erect are another version of the salamanders in your yard. It is how they experience themselves
Okay.
on another plane of existence.
Okay. They're part of the same family then, and
You are perhaps not understanding it as we mean it.
okay.
The salamanders that stand erect are in another dimension of reality altogether.
Okay.
But they are projections of the consciousness of the salamanders in your yard.
Oh,
They are how they see themselves on another level.
okay. Oh, that's more clear.
You understand?
Yes, now I do. Now I do. Thank you.
In the same way that you understand or project yourself as having a higher self,
Yes.
they project similar concepts.
Oh, sure.
And you have perceived it in that way,
Okay.
as them being these larger beings in another dimension of reality.
So we're all really doing this.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
And in other dimensions, your consciousness is the consciousness that expresses itself in your physical reality as those bodies you call the stars.
Will you tell me a little more about that, please?
No.
Okay, well, that's quite a bit.
All right?
Fun to think about. I want to ask about the phenomenon of what's called the vanishing twin, and I want to relate to this the fact that my daughter Laura and my son Frank,
Yes?
when they were very young, they're almost exactly a year apart, and people would come up to me and ask me if they were twins.
Yes?
And I know when I carried Laura, I was told that maybe I would have twins.
Yes?
And
But you didn't have them all at once.
that's kind of, I'm curious about that. Tell me
Well,
about
that can happen, yes.
So-
it is not the only idea, not the end-all be-all discussion about the idea of vanishing twins, but yes, that can occur.
So
they
they
can
are-
decide to be born apart in time and still, in a sense, in essence, be twins, yes.
That's fascinating. That's real. Well, they're very close together, those two. They always have been.
Yes.
And, well, that's wonderful. I'm happy
They
to
simply
hear that.
decided that a different kind of timeline would be more auspicious for what they needed to reflect to each other and to others.
Wow, that is great.
Sometimes distance in between twins causes for a different kind of reflective wave back and forth between them that it contains more things.
My sister Nancy had 2 sets of reproductive organs,
Yes?
and we were told that at some point she might have been trying to be twins and didn't make it or something like that.
In some senses, yes.
Also,
Though there are other ramifications to this we will not go into
That's
now.
okay. I'm putting these little fragments together. I remember hearing something about my grandfather.
That is sufficient for now.
Okay.
No more family tree.
Okay.
Thank
Well, thank you.
you. You!
I had a dream, but I'm only looking, the rest of it was self-explanatory, but I'm just looking at one little section.
All right. Illuminate the one little section.
Right. I was with a group of 4 of us or so, and we were healers.
Yes.
And one woman was very critical when I told her of my work and ideas regarding children.
Yes. Critical in what way?
Well, I had said that I had this new job, and she said she thought it was really a stupid way to make money.
All right.
And
You may end there. For I will tell you this in response to this particular portion of your dream. This is not all there is to it. There are many nuances. But we will give you this as a profound underlying foundational concept and vibration. If we were to give one word for what would be considered, in your terms, the most detrimental element that exists in your society, that which you would perhaps phrase, what would be the one thing that could cause the downfall of our culture? I can sum it up in one word: cynicism. Think about this. Think about this. I am not saying you have to be gullible, but cynicism will be the death of many of you. In all ways you can mean that word. Death. Does that help you? Think about it. All right?
yeah, because I didn't respond to it.
I'm not saying you have to in that way. And that's another thing.
What?
Do not necessarily always assume that you must respond to some information in a particular way for it to have importance to you. Just think about it.
Okay.
You will see what you need to find within it.
Oh, all right.
The realizations will come, but not necessarily when or how you think.
Okay.
Just be open to the Tao, as we have discussed, and you will understand the meaning of it.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 2.
Hi, Bashar.
And you good day.
Several things to talk about.
Keep it brief.
Pardon?
Keep it brief.
Keep it
In
brief.
the manner of the Tao. Keep it brief.
Oh.
Thank you.
How come you always
Well
tell-
put. A good summation.
Well, then that's it, huh? Just
You may continue,
Okay.
but apply that principle to everything you are talking about.
Okay, brief about the things I'm going to talk about.
Yes.
All right.
Keep it succinct, to the point, keep it brief.
All right. The stones.
Stones.
Yes. When you first told me the stones were resonators in the extreme sense 2
Yes.
years ago,
Yes.
can you give me what you meant on that?
The idea of many of what you call stones on your planet are relatively pure representations of the first level of materialization from energy,
Okay.
such as quartz crystals. They are almost non-physical. There's not much to them.
Uh-huh.
Therefore, they are extreme and pure representations of the energy vibration that they represent.
Ah.
They are just a step down from the etheric template, just barely physicalized, and thus still very strongly in contact with the energy source that expresses itself as the idea of a geometric form such as a crystal.
Ah. Okay.
They are connected directly in that sense to the causal plane.
All right. All right. I just got some information the other day when I was asking about my clear stone, and when you're talking about the cylinder,
Yes.
I was told to take the clear stone. You could put it 9 inches above your head, and then 9 inches below, another one 9 inches below your feet, and then I felt a cylinder energy that would produce going all the way up from
This
the
is
feet
one
on
technique
up.
that can have some value. Yes.
Uh-huh. And
You may experiment with it if you wish.
okay, and it will. Is there
You may
anything?
experiment with it if you wish.
Okay. Another thing, I talked to Daryl. He said to talk to you
Yes.
about doing a workshop on money,
Yes.
and to talk about whether you would like to do it on a regular meeting on a Friday night
Yes.
or a special
No.
night. Yes, on a regular Friday
Yes.
night. I had thought about next month at the Akashic
Yes.
on the 13th.
Yes.
Good. Thank you on that. The other last thing.
All of you will be expected to bring a coin.
Oh, great. A coin.
Yes,
Okay.
a coin.
Oh,
Whatever you deem to be your special coin for the idea of what you call the money workshop on your Friday the 13th of the full moon.
Oh, super. Boy, is that going to be great. All right. That's great.
Make sure you consider the coin to be spendable.
Ah, yes.
Make sure you consider it to be a true medium of exchange. Whatever it is, doesn't matter what the denomination is, just make sure it represents solidly to you the strength and the power behind the idea of the medium of exchange. Do you follow?
Yes.
Whatever it is. It can be a shiny penny, it can be a quarter, it can be $1, but make sure it's a coin. And make sure it represents to you the whole idea of what such a workshop and such an interaction would be about. Make sure you feel it represents that energy strongly to you. All right?
Okay, that sounds great. The last thing is,
Nice.
yeah, I have two other
questions. I don't want
Okay.
to take up too much time. One is
Don't
about...
worry, I won't let you.
You're a feisty being.
Thank you.
Are
I
you
pride
like...
myself on reflecting the best qualities of you humans.
Did you pick this manifestation for this particular person? Or are you like this all
We
the time?
picked it together.
It's really very pleasant.
Why, thank you. We find all of you to be very fascinating, too.
It's about my career and my
Your career.
love life.
Oh,
those
I see.
You know, those two, the people questions that everybody always
Oh,
asks.
those things, yes.
Yeah.
What about them?
Well, again, in my career, I feel it's a time for a change.
Oh, all right, then change. To what do you wish to change?
I have a very strong interest in physical fitness,
Oh, all right. Any particular expression of this idea?
exercise, and nutrition.
All right. And so, are you taking steps to move in this direction?
Yes,
All right. Are you doing the best you can?
almost.
Oh, almost. All right. Well, what
My
prevents you
fear
from
is,
doing the best you can?
as I have a stable job that is in health
A
and fitness.
stable job. You work in a stable.
Well, sometimes it seems like that.
I see.
No,
Would
I
you do us a
work.
favor?
What?
Stand up.
Stand up.
Yes, stand up physically.
Okay.
Are you physically standing?
Yes.
All right. Now stand on one foot. Your choice. Left, right.
Okay, I'm up on one foot.
Oh, all right. Which one?
I'm on my right one.
All right. Now I want you to stay there for about 2-3 hours. Can you do that?
No.
Why not? Aren't you reflecting the idea of a stable position?
Not on one foot, no.
Why not?
I need 2 feet for balance.
You do? You mean you need to change in order to have stability?
Aha.
Aha.
Yeah.
You mean change, being the only constant, is the only true stability?
Yeah.
Oh,
No. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
What do you think?
you were right. You were right. It doesn't mean that you cannot stay at one thing, but the idea is to understand that if you are allowing yourself to be who you are,
Right.
then the things you do ought to be. And this is not a judgment, and I'm not telling you what to do. I would never do that. But they, in some sense, ought to be representative of the
Right.
things that really excite you,
Right.
that really allow your creative juices to flow.
Right.
Because then you will be dynamic,
Yeah.
creative, made in the image of the Creator. You see? Rather than stagnate. Which is what most people on your planet, no offense, think
Do.
stability actually is.
Yes, that's true.
And it only leads to stagnation.
Yeah.
It is all right if you wind up doing only one kind of thing for your entire life. But the idea is that if you do the thing that is representative of your natural, true self,
Yeah.
creatively, energetically,
Right.
it will not lead to stagnation. It will always contain enough dynamism
Right.
to allow you to know you are not stagnating. But if you
Yeah.
do things you know are not you, and force yourself to stay there, then yes, it leads to dry rot.
Yeah, that's true.
So, the idea is to act to the best of your ability on the things that excite you the most, to move in that direction and take advantage of whatever opportunities present themselves to you to the best of your ability.
Yes.
And that's all you need to do.
Okay.
The goal, the only goal any of you have in life is to be yourself as best as you can. Your careers are not your goals in the
Right.
broadest sense of the term. It doesn't mean you cannot set some kind of immediate goal as an anchor point, as a marker, as a technique, as a process to move you along. But in the overall sense of the term goal, those things are not your goals. Your only goal is to be yourself. That's all you have to do. Your careers, your creative projects, they are expressions
Right.
of your goal of being yourself. They are techniques to express the goal of being yourself. They are not in and of themselves your goals in life, your mission and purpose in life. Your mission and purpose is to be you. That's it. How you want to do that's up to you. I would suggest you follow your highest joy because that vibration is most representative of who you naturally are. That's what that vibration is. That's how you know you're staying unerringly on the path and pointed in the direction of your true self is by acting on the things that contain the highest amount of joy, excitement, unconditional love, and creativity. And those things will always lure you if you allow them to flow freely without impediment and self-judgment and the conditions placed upon them, they will allow you to flow to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing in an unimpeded flood of synchronicity and joy and abundance and support. Do you follow me?
Yes.
This is mechanics, not philosophy.
Yeah, I already knew that.
And you can understand how this can relate to the idea of relationships as well.
Uh-huh.
And remember that relationships are basically for the purpose of assisting the other people in the relationships to discover more of who they are while they assist you to do the same thing.
I always seem to get attracted to the wrong people, though.
No, you are not attracted to the wrong people. You are attracted exactly to the people who reflect the things that you are going through within yourself and the things you need to look at. You follow me?
Yeah.
It is always there for a purpose to give you an opportunity to look at something. Now, we understand what you mean when you say the wrong people, but you must understand that euphemistically, it is not the wrong person. If you attract yourself to someone that isn't correct for you in terms of the ideal you prefer to be, they are still not the wrong person if they are pointing out to you the changes that you need to have in your belief systems and attitudes in order to then get a reflection back to you from a person who represents you being your true self, rather than attracting someone who reflects to you your belief in your own disempowerment and fear. Do you follow me on that?
Yes.
That's the logic of the reflection. It is not wrong because it's showing you exactly what you need to look at in order to make a change.
Right.
Now, it's up to you to decide whether to use it to make a change or whether to allow yourself to remain attached to something that is only a reflective symbol.
Right.
You follow me?
Yes.
That is how you unconditionally love a relationship, by letting it be what it is for, rather than what you think it ought to be.
Yes.
Rather than imposing or projecting upon it the ideas, and I'm only speaking in general, that you think it's supposed to be there for, rather than letting it be reflective of what it is reflective of, the things you need to look at within yourself, and change if you don't prefer them. And support the other person's ability to do the same, whether they choose to or not. And then make the decision as to whether or not, when you have decided what is true for you, as to whether that is compatible with what is true for them. And remember that sometimes, and I'm not saying to slough off a relationship, I am not saying not to work at it when it really requires work and really requires diligence, but sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let it go. Because if that is a true recognition, if that is a true recognition of who you are and who the other person or persons are, then the most loving thing you can do is let them discover the consequences of who they have chosen to be as it relates to you, and let them go off and discover who they need to be with. That is more reflective of who they need to see and what they need to discover within themselves. Does that make some sense to you?
Yeah, was that an answer to
Yes, it was.
the person I've been
Yes, it was. Does that help you?
Yeah.
Then thank you.
Thank you.
Bashar.
You. Okay. Then you. Good day.
Good day. I had this burning question while I was sitting here, and
All right. Would you like to pour some water on it?
yeah, and it's a little hard for me to put it into words, but
Oh, all right. I am sure you will find a way.
yeah. Ever since I was a little girl, I always felt that I was very different. I knew that I was in touch with something.
Aren't you all?
And
Guys, this realization is coming to more and more and more and more of you now. You are all beginning to realize you were different.
but I felt like I was really different.
You are all beginning to realize you were all really different.
And in
this
some
is
ways,
true.
and I feel that
I am not taking that away from any of you.
I know.
It is true. And
It's true.
simultaneously, it makes you all homogenous in that sense and unified.
And I always felt this place in me too that I was actually very much the same as everyone else too.
Yes.
That really
You're all
knowing.
discovering more of who you actually are. And more of who you actually are is a multidimensional being connected to many different reality levels. That's what you're discovering, yes.
In some ways, I feel that I have fallen short of this.
Oh, fallen short, all right. In what way does having this judgment upon yourself serve you? Is it something you enjoy doing?
I don't know.
Finding yourself coming up short?
I'm real hard on myself. I'm
Why?
very self-critical.
Why?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
I do.
Yes. Why? What do you get out of it? That's always the question to ask. When you say, I don't know why I do this, I don't know why I choose this, the question to ask and find the honest answer within you is, well, if I do it, I must be getting something out of it, or I must think I'm getting something out of it. What would that be?
It allows me to hide
Thank you. From what?
from my fears.
About what? Name one. Go on, it won't bite.
I don't know.
Yes,
Are
you
gonna,
do.
Yes, I do. Okay. Yeah.
You all know.
Maybe about really being different.
Oh, all right, you're afraid of really being different. What would be the worst possible thing that you can imagine would happen if you allowed yourself to recognize that you might really be different? What's the fear?
Being rejected.
By what?
Other people.
If you're really different, why do you care? If you're different, then why would you care about fitting in?
I feel that it's a gift of something that I have inside
Yes.
me.
Well, if it's a gift,
And it doesn't seem like it really belongs here. I feel that it doesn't have a place.
oh yes, it does. Are you on earth?
Yes.
Then it has a place. There are no pointless creation.
Yeah.
It may not be fully the time for it to unfold or express itself completely, but that doesn't mean it doesn't belong.
Right.
You understand that?
Yes.
All right. Now, it's up to you. It's up to you as to really when it belongs, as to whatever degree you are willing to express the you know yourself to be. It's up to you. But regardless of what others may think, regardless of how others may perceive you,
Yes.
the point is that you already know, because you've already said so, is that when you are your true self,
Yes.
the natural you, that you know you are,
Yes.
you will simultaneously be utterly different and yet connected to everyone.
Yes.
It is within the granting of total, unconditional validity to the unique, diverse being you are that creates unification among all unique, diverse beings. It is not homogenization that creates unity. It is reinforcement of diversity that creates unity.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yes. So, in a paradoxical way, the more different you allow yourself to be, as long as it is representative of what you believe to be your natural self,
Yes.
the more you will actually belong.
Yeah.
And the better you will be at helping others, whether they recognize that fact or not is not important.
Yes.
Only by being yourself can you be of assistance
Yes.
and complete the whole puzzle picture that then supports all the pieces of the puzzle.
Yes.
But it is when you have been taught to not be the puzzle piece that you were born to be that you get into trouble. When you try to be someone you're not, you don't fit
Yeah.
and you don't support the whole puzzle picture. Only by being your true shape do you support the whole, and only then can the whole support all the pieces who are being their true shape.
Right.
You understand?
I had an image of a jigsaw puzzle with
Yes.
all these different
Yes.
parts.
That's
And
what all
if
of
each
you
part
are.
tried to be round, it wouldn't work together.
Correct.
But if each part let its differences and varieties
Exactly
come out,
so. Then you
then
all
it would
fit.
fit together. Yeah.
And you all form the big picture.
Yeah.
Does that help unlock this fear of being different? A little bit?
Yeah.
All right.
I
Anything
have-
else? Yes?
On another subject,
Yes.
I used some water today that was infused with Lemurian flower essences, it said. And I was wondering if,
Define.
well, I don't know exactly. There's someone who works with flower essences. There's just a little write-up by the bowl of water at my chiropractor's
Yes.
office.
And what attracted you to this idea?
Oh, well, it was a beautiful display with a mirror and a glass
All
container.
right. And so how did it make you feel?
Oh, it made me feel wonderful.
All right. And so you thought that it would be a good reflective symbol to infuse yourself with?
Yes.
All right. Then that's all you need to understand.
Okay.
If you change your mind, change your mind.
Okay.
Remember, the tools are reflections of whatever state you are in. The outer world does not exist except as a reflection of what is going on in the inner world of your consciousness. So, these things outside do not affect you, they reflect you and reinforce what is going on within. That is why you use the outer symbolic tools. When you change what is going on within, you will require different outer symbolic reflections. It is as simple as that.
Yeah,
Do you follow?
I do.
Does that help you?
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Bashar.
Thank you. What? You. Good day. Yes.
Along with that relaxing, I've been thinking a lot about the breath lately.
Guys, breathing is good.
Working with my breath work. And I've always had a hard time breathing through my nose because of allergies and sinus problems.
I see.
But it's funny because when I'm in yoga and I'm really focused and concentrating, I can breathe through my nose, no problem.
Well, there you go. You have your biggest clue, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, then I don't need to tell you anything. You already know what to do.
Yeah.
Remain in that state, and you will oxygenate the system just fine.
Okay.
Get out of that state, you will tighten up, your passages will become constricted, and you will lack oxygenation and support.
Right.
It is simple and obvious.
Yeah.
Let it be so.
Okay.
Do not confuse yourself or complicate the issue beyond what needs to be understood.
Okay.
Does that help you?
That helps. Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I
How are your ovum?
waiting to drop.
All right. But they are not waiting. They
No,
will drop
I
when they
am
need
waiting for it to
You
drop.
do not need to wait either. Remember that the whole process of conceiving a child is to relax, first and foremost.
Yes. It's been a real lesson for me the past
Oh, all
week
right.
on
Well, the child is
control.
participating in that lesson.
Yes.
Don't forget.
Absolutely.
So relax.
Okay.
Relax. Don't close the doorway by tightening up.
No.
Relax and open the doorway.
Okay.
Remember, euphemistically, even though the egg in your body may be small, the child is big. And it requires a large doorway for such a large energy to pass through, for you to be compatible with the large energy that would come into you. So the more you relax, the more the doorway in that sense will dilate, and the easier it will be for the energy to attach itself to the egg.
Okay.
Because you cannot just look at the egg as if the egg itself has no field around it of energy. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Your doorway, in essence, in energy, in concept, must be large enough to allow for the passage of the energy field, not just the egg. So, it requires more acceptance of yourself, and more acceptance of your timing, and more acceptance of the synchronicities involved. So relax and enjoy. You are open to the idea. We have discussed this. You are willing to let it in. So allowance is the key. Do not worry. It is possible, and in fact, highly likely, that by 1 month from now, you will be pregnant. So relax.
Okay. Yeah.
All right?
Okay.
This then will be auspicious in that the child would be conceived within this window of 13.
I was thinking about that when you were talking.
Then relax and allow it. When you find the 13th floor, you will meet the child. The child's consciousness resides on the 13th floor, euphemistically. All right?
All right.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Thank you. There's no chance that you could diagnose Carol's mother, who's bleeding internally, is there?
The idea, and none of you need to be impatient nor judgmental, the idea of what we told you is extremely critical as to why we are not discussing that with you. Your refusal to understand that is part of the reason why we can't discuss it with you. Thank you. Number two.
And there's also in Kentucky been a psychiatrist who not only saw but very clearly videotaped an extraterrestrial craft.
Guys?
Can you tell us if this was legitimate?
Not at this time.
Because it was photographed at close range with videotape, and
I
he
understand.
invites skeptics. You can't scan the event?
Not at this time. It is closed to us.
Okay.
Will that do?
Yeah, I'm just curious. One other thing. Where are you now? Are you still above Cairo, and about how far up are you?
About 2,500.
Okay.
Miles.
So is your increased elevation due to?
This is a decreased elevation.
Oh, it is.
Yes, we started at 3,000, if you will recall.
And what can you tell us anything about?
The decrease in elevation in general represents coming closer to the day of contact.
Okay. But is there anything going on from your perspective in Iraq?
There are many things going on in the area on your planet you call Iraq.
But you know what I mean, significantly in terms of world events.
Yes. There is a buildup, as you know, of tensions, as we have said, that still could lead to the idea of the expression of a terrorist nuclear strike.
Did we understand you correctly last time, and that you said that you were projecting that there was a 98% probability of that?
This is correct.
Is it still at 98%?
It is.
And is that of global nuclear war or limited nuclear war?
It has not for some time been for global nuclear war. We have said this over and over, which is why we translate the phrase isolated, limited terrorist nuclear strike.
And where is it likely to occur?
Either there in the Middle East or in one of your eastern seaboard cities in your United States of America.
Okay.
Primarily, 97% probability, New York.
Okay. Can you tell us when it's likely to occur?
Again, there is only a probability window. And again, this probability window is sometime between now and your year of 2001. Most likely, either in or around your year of 1999. That is the heaviest concentration of probability. But this is not for certain, because nothing is.
Okay.
But there are other events that are also unfolding that may allow this percentage to drop radically within this your present year. But this has not yet been decided by the collective consciousness of your people. We will keep you posted.
Okay.
Thank you.
In the news lately this week, there's been a lot of play on some ancient temples that NASA JPL has found in Cambodia, which are much older than any known civilization on Earth.
Yes.
What can you tell us about this?
You will begin to find more and more and more indicators that there have been many ancient civilizations on your planet that stretch the idea of your history back much, much, much further than you think. Some of these are offshoots of other colonies besides Atlantis that stretched from Lemuria in ancient times, 50,000 of your years ago. Some of these ancient ideas are old Anunnaki bases. Some of them are connected to idea of extraterrestrial inhabitation over brief periods of time, but for the most part, they are simply recognitions that cultures existed on your planet that are much more ancient than your present sense of history dictates.
Can you tell us what civilization and of what origin the civilization that built the ancient temples in
They are the
Cambodia
ancient
was?
Khmer.
The ancient Cairo?
Khmer. Khmer. Khmer.
Is that a race of beings?
On your planet, yes.
Were they native to our planet?
Yes. Even though they had extraterrestrial interaction, and like all of you, contained a high percentage of extraterrestrial genetics. They were a relatively isolated cultural offshoot, again, similar to Atlantis, but relatively unknown on your planet. Another offshoot of the same idea you will find same ancient culture.
Okay. In the news lately, let me get your definition on one thing.
Yes.
Just what would the words "you can't have your cake and eat it too"? How would you define the definition of that?
The idea as the phrase is understood in your society, in some senses, is actually a little bit backwards, according to the meaning that we glean exists in your society's culture. The phrase really would be that you could eat your cake and have it too, not have your cake and eat it too, because obviously you can have cake and eat it.
That's what it seems like to me.
But the idea is that it seems less likely that you can eat it and yet still have it. But the general meaning of the phrase is that idea that is usually exemplified by the phrase we have shared with you, that most things are this and that, rather than this or that. In other words, things that in your society might, from one perspective, seem mutually exclusive, don't have to be. Do you understand?
So in other words, we can have our cake and eat it too.
In other words, you can eat your cake and still have it.
Yes.
In other words, you can allow both sides of the issue to coexist and glean from both sides, which from one perspective seem mutually exclusive, glean from both sides things that will assist and amplify the things that you require in life, without each side canceling the other out. Yes. You can work with paradox, in other words, as we have said many times, for that is where the point of all your power lies, is in the center, in what you call paradox. And that is what that phrase exemplifies, yes.
Okay. And
number one, good day.
Good day, Bashar. Actually, I have four things, but
Yes.
let me start off with Dawn's grandmother, Carol's mother.
We will talk no more about Dawn.
Okay.
Or
Now,
anything
Dawn's
in relation to
grandmother.
that entity
Why
at
is
this
that?
time.
Okay, no. The topic wasn't Dawn, but
No more about Dawn or anything in relation to that entity at this time.
no, her grandmother's illness.
No more about Dawn or anything in relation to that entity at this time.
Well, Carol's mother.
No more.
Okay.
Do you have other things to talk about?
Yeah, but I was hoping to get a diagnosis from you.
I understand. We have given you our answer at this particular moment. Do you wish to move on, or do you wish us to go to another individual?
Okay. No, I'll move on.
Thank you.
Okay, and lastly, at this conference, I met this young man from Argentina named Julio, who claims that while meditating with his brother, they're able to manifest amazing multidimensional entities, and he showed us photographs of spacecraft and the Virgin Mary and Jesus and other entities. There's some doubt amongst experts as to whether these photos are authentic.
They are not.
Okay, but I'm wondering if this man knows that, or if he's authentic and he's been duped, or what the situation is.
We will simply say his desire is overwhelming his judgment. It is not impossible that such things can be done, and this is what he knows to be true. But in his desire for them to manifest, he is allowing himself to go a little farther than what is actually being manifest.
So is he actually manifesting it, and he just did the faked the photos in order to convince people?
He is connected with someone that is allowing these images to be manufactured and is of a mind and being told that they are authentic.
So he believes they are authentic. But
he has doubts but is unwilling to admit it.
Okay.
Because of his desire for it to be real.
Is he actually channeling these entities?
In some senses, his psychic senses are perceiving that such things exist, and this is what is reinforcing the idea that these are, in your terms, authentic, when in many cases and in most cases they are not. In actual fact, there have been a couple that are, and this is what is allowing the other individual to assume that it is all right to manufacture the rest. Do you understand the logic?
Have I seen any of the ones that are authentic?
You have, but we will not discuss them.
Okay, so they are able to do this. It's just
it is possible, but they are, in your terms, to put it colloquially, taking the easy way out.
Uh-huh.
Once it has been done, in that they know it can be done, now they are simply assuming that the manufacture will suffice since they know it can be done. But in this case, they are being ungenuine and not allowing themselves to actually go all the way through the process to allow them to manifest in the appropriate manner.
Well,
they are taking or creating what you would call a shortcut with the idea that it is still within integrity because they know such a thing has been done and can be done. And so they are simply using illustrative techniques to show what can be done, but in their communication allowing people to think that this is what has been done, instead of seeing that they are simply illustrations of what can be done, which is more close to what you would call accurate. That will do.
Thank you.
Sure.
You and then you. Number two, do you know who you are?
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
First of all, I went to this incredible UFO conference last week. And
UFO conference?
Yes, it was an international congress with speakers from all over the planet.
Yes, all right.
And I learned a lot of new things, which I don't know if I obviously won't have time to share most of them with you. But the Russian speaker presented the fact that the pharaohs in Egypt used certain cylinders that in his research, they used these cylinders in their hands, and he showed us many pictures of pharaohs holding these cylinders.
Yes.
That they used to balance their energy systems, their immune systems.
Sometimes, yes. And some of this is leftover, or shall we say, holdover technology from more ancient times. Some of the times that the pharaohs used these, they were correctly made. Sometimes they were not, because some of the knowledge was lost.
Well,
some of this comes from what you would call Atlantean times and earlier times.
He said they also use them for contacting extraterrestrials?
Sometimes. But most of this was done by the priesthood rather than by the pharaoh, though sometimes the pharaohs were brought into it. And again, this would only be with the pharaohs, not with the idea of what you call the early reign or lineage or monarchy. The original kings knew more about this idea. Many of the pharaohs did not, since the pharaonic line is representative of, in many cases, a loss of knowledge. And thus, that is why there were pharaohs, because the rituals for creating kings was forgotten. But it is the kings and the king's lineage that knew more, along with the high priests, about these technologies, whereas the pharaohs had to make do with things that were handed down to them, and sometimes these things were recreated incorrectly, and so lost much of their potential ability.
Well, he alleges that he's been able to recreate these cylinders, and I bought a pair.
To some degree, yes.
And I was wondering of their efficacy.
As we said, to some degree. You will find that these cylinders were filled with many different kinds of things, one of which, in the earliest version, was the monatomic gold powder. You follow?
Yes.
Now, some of what is being understood as being cylinders filled with quartz crystal powder or minute flecks of quartz crystal, some of that is correct, but not necessarily in all cases as strong as some of the earlier ones filled with other substances. And the most early ones were combination metals, what you would call your copper, silver, gold, and other things that form the ancient Atlantean metal of orichalcum. Do you follow?
Yes.
So, some of the earlier versions were orichalcum filled with monatomic gold powder. These were the strongest variety of this idea. The cylinders that you are in possession of now, being that they are also of certain metals like copper, will have some conductive power, but they may be limited in their bandwidth of efficacy. They may only be capable of allowing there to be modulation of energy frequencies in the body along very specific bandwidths, and they may not be broad range, as broad range as some of the earlier, more powerful ones were. Does that make some sense to you?
Yes. I basically bought them to help my mother in her healing, and in my use of them, I became very ill with the flu,
Yes.
which this man...
Sometimes they will instill those vibrations that are required for you to experience in order to go through a process. Sometimes they were used for that, whereas a person may not have experienced or shown symptomologies of illness. Then, being given some of these cylinders, they may have, like many of what you call the homeopathic remedies on your planet now, through vibration, actually triggered disease symptomology to force the person to go through the process that the disease represents. Yes. Sometimes they can act as triggers, yes.
So it is, in a sense, it's a healing for myself as well, bringing these symptoms to the surface?
Yes. Now, because they are, in this day and age on your planet, not necessarily as broad spectrum as they used to be, it will be of more efficacy that an individual may have more than one type of cylinder at the same time. So, a collection of cylinders sometimes is required to hit all the different frequencies within the body's energy to have the desired effect. To follow?
Yes, will they be helpful for my mother with her lupus and the high blood pressure and other things?
They will allow some balancing to occur. Of course, again, remember that all healing occurs within the individual. It is not really the product of the devices, but the devices can act as triggers for the consciousness of the individual to allow themselves to match the vibration being given off by the cylinder or whatever tool is being used, and in so matching that frequency, they then can take themselves back, at least closer, to a state of health. Yes, it can function to some degree that way, but in that we have already said these cylinders are of a very narrow bandwidth. They may not allow her to go all the way, but may allow her to address certain areas and symptoms, one small step at a time. Yes.
Great. Related to this, I've been seeing a chiropractor, which I've discussed with you,
Yes.
and he told me that my adrenal glands, my hormones, almost my entire system is in a really bad situation, and he's asking me to take a lot of different types of supplements.
Yes.
I don't have a lot of confidence in this doctor
Why?
Because he tried to sell me a device that would help the structure in my neck, which we discussed, but he tried to sell it to me at a good deal higher price than other doctors had quoted.
All right. Then go to another doctor.
Right. So that's making me wonder if these supplements are really necessary.
Then go to another doctor. Some supplements are necessary for you, for many areas in your body are depleted. But they can be had very naturally, and it may not necessarily be as rigorous a regimen as you may think, but you do need high quality replacements. But if you are uncomfortable and do not trust this individual, go to another one.
Can you tell me what areas are depleted that I can work on?
It is correct that your adrenals are depleted. It is correct that you may have some liver malfunction. It is correct that some of the idea of toxins are being, shall we say, not processed correctly. You do need some balancing in the area of supplementation in vitamins and certain essential oils. But go to someone that you feel has a more natural approach. I want to say good day to you this day, your time. How are you all? Once again, we take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for allowing this interaction and this transmission to take place in this manner and through this gateway and at this time. Once again, each and every time you allow such a transmission to occur, it affords our civilization an opportunity to experience that many more facets of the infinite through the unique expressions and perspectives that each and every one of you have chosen to be. So we thank you for this gift of exchange. We would like to begin this transmission this day of your time by recognizing, in honor of your calendar date, the idea that your civilization places behind the number 13. So let us discuss this concept as it exists in your collective archetypal consciousness and explore some of the ramifications as to why this particular numerical value has been assigned such interesting qualities in your culture. First and foremost, recognize that anything that has to do with numbers is connected to the idea, the recognition of, the sensing of, the perception of certain proportions and mathematical ratios in nature that represent certain vibrations, certain relationships. 13. Not only in your own culture, but in many cultures, not only on your planet, but in other civilizations, is recognized as being a vibrational resonance that defines and represents a relationship between all that is considered to be of lower frequency, physical dimensionality, and the higher realms of non-physical consciousness. 13 is a transition number, a transition frequency, in and of itself, therefore representative, archetypally, of a gateway, a doorway, through which and by which consciousness can connect to higher levels of awareness, higher dimensions of experience. The frequency itself, the vibration itself, the relationship, the ratio itself is something that is an energy that can be used when contemplated upon, when focused upon, in meditations or in a variety of creative ways, to open very specific gateways and doorways within your own consciousness, physically, as a person, and help you connect to higher self, over soul levels, spiritual realms, non-physical dimensionality of many different types and varieties. This is one of the reasons why. Because of the definitions, the negative definitions, the fears that exist in many cultures in your society, why the number 13 has been given such superstitious qualities, such fearful qualities, as if it is something to be avoided. These meanings, these negative meanings, have only been attached to this vibration because it is recognized, at least subconsciously or unconsciously by many of you, that it is a connection to more rarefied realms of spirit and awareness. Yet because for thousands of generations, people on your planet have been out of touch with themselves, their inner selves, their inner life, their inner light, have been out of touch with things of spirit. Mythologies have been built up around spirit that makes spirit and non-physical awareness seem to be something to be avoided, something to be feared. And so in recognizing that the 13th vibration, the 13th frequency, is a doorway through which connection and contact can be made, then because of the fear, it has been labeled as something to be avoided, something to be shunned at all costs. For it is known that to connect to that frequency will put you in touch with the inner realms of self, in some senses open your selves up to fear, to face and process fears. It is a processing number, a processing frequency that when dealt with appropriately can be of great aid and assistance in helping you process many of the doubts and fears you have within yourself. 13 represents, in many ways, the actual portal of the unknown. And as we have said many times, it is best to make a friend of the unknown, for that is where you will discover most of yourself. That is where you will find who and what you are, is in the unknown. That is where you will know who and what you are by how it is you act when faced with the unknown. So we would urge many of you, most of you, perhaps even all of you, in this time of your collective consciousness's awareness of the date that you call your Friday the 13th, especially because there is another one coming up next month of your time, 2 in a row. So you have a month, a bracketed month, bracketed on each end by a Friday the 13th, forming a grander doorway, a bigger doorway, an amplification and a magnification of this idea. So for the next month, you have a golden opportunity, a golden proportional ratio opportunity to really explore all the ideas of all the things that the number and the vibration of 13 can jolt loose, shake loose within you, and allow them to come to the surface, fearing not, but use your imagination and curiosity to allow yourself to integrate those things you formerly feared so that you can become more of who you are. Use this time and use this number, use this archetypal symbol as your key and your gateway to explore and discover the unknown self and make that more of you. Make it known, allow it to be known, so that you can become grander, bigger, more expanded, more accelerated, more aware of who and what you are, and thus, simultaneously, more aware of what your reality can be. In whatever way, shape, or form you wish to contemplate this, in whatever way, shape, or form your imagination wishes to use this idea, do something, be it meditative, or creative play, or some artistic endeavor or expression, or music. Explore and play now for the next month with the number 13, and allow yourself to absorb and transform all the symbology and superstition, and allow it to become something that can serve you, rather than something that would chase you back into the darker sides of yourself. Remember that your physical reality is a mirror, very realistically a mirror, reflecting to you the strongest combination of ideas, beliefs, definitions that you have bought into. And so take a moment to explore this unknown zone in all the creative ways that you can. We recognize that this superstition exists even to the point where many of your actual architectural structures, your buildings, don't even have a 13th floor, so to speak, although of course you know they do. So we would, as a suggestion, just to increase and amplify and exemplify the idea of exploration we are now talking about, we would suggest that you actually find a building that was not afraid to label its 13th floor 13, or you go to a building that does not have one, and in some way, shape, or form in your imagination, find a way to go to the 13th floor. Play with that idea, because it is there. Maybe in between 12 and 14, even though it may not be physical, but it is there. Because so many of you have put so much energy on the idea of avoiding the 13th floor, that energy in your collective consciousness goes toward creating the 13th floor, at least in non-physical, spiritual terms. So it is there. It can be visited. I would invite you, I would challenge you to go and find the 13th floor in a building that doesn't have one and see what kind of experiences come about. You may not even find it physically. You may only find it in your dreams once you make the attempt, once you take the step. You may find yourself in your dreams all of a sudden on that 13th floor that wasn't there physically. Or some of you may actually, don't be afraid, may actually find yourself on a 13th floor that isn't there. Even if only momentarily. But that's all right. There is nothing that inhabits the 13th floor that can hurt you. It is only the hidden portion of yourself, 13 representing all the things you have taken and hidden in between the other floors of your consciousness. It is time now to find that 13th floor, make it accessible, once again, to the elevator of your imagination. So all of you, over the next month, between this Friday the 13th and the next one, which, by the way, will be a full moon Friday the 13th. And so you see how that amplifies and compounds the symbology. And explore the idea of what this means and what kind of discoveries you can make. Allow these heretofore unexplored hidden areas to come to the light, to unfold, and to be given some kind of physical manifestation, at least to whatever degree you are willing to absorb and transform those hidden portions of yourself. So, you may label this conversation the 13th floor. We thank you for allowing us to share this idea with you this day of your time. And in return for the gift that you are giving our civilization, in allowing this exchange to occur through this window and in this way, I ask in return, in what way may I now be of service to you?
Bashar.
Female.